Hello everyone. This is Shashi Walia and I welcome you all my YouTube channel Curious Physics. So today is the fourth lecture of the first chapter, uh, electric charges and field. In this particular chapter, we will study the basic concept of Gauss law and its applications. Until now, we have already studied the basic properties of charge, Coulomb's law, electric field, and electric flux, and electric dipole movement, and the behavior of electric dipole when it is placed in a uniform and non-uniform electric field. So today's topic is basically Gauss law, but before that, one advice from my side: everything you have watching here, you have to make notes, make proper notes, and make all the notes and the practice all the question by yourself. Watching video is not enough. You have to practice or solve all the questions, all the derivation by yourself. It will help you for your board exams at particular crucial moments. So let's start. The topic is Gauss law. Gauss law basically is nothing but another way to find the electric field at a particular point. This particular Gauss law is related to the electric flux, and as we know that electric flux is equal to it is the dot product of, or you can say the scalar product of, electric field and area, and it can also be written as EA cos theta. This particular formula we have studied earlier. But according to Gauss law, in electrostatics, Gauss law states that the electric flux through any closed surface is equal to the net electric charge enclosed by the surface divided by the permittivity of free space. This is basically the statement of Gauss law. But the conceptual clarity should be there. According to this law, in any closed surface, you can say this is a sphere, any closed surface of any shape. Here we will find electric field at a particular point by using Gauss law only for symmetrical shapes, but Gauss law is valid for all kind of shapes. It may be symmetrical, unsymmetrical, but the condition should be Gauss law applied for any closed surface. Mean to say that the surface should be closed from every side. Are you getting my point? So next is, if particular charge Q in is enclosed in a surface, then electric flux passing through this particular area, electric flux is always be Q by epsilon naught. Here Q is Q in. Okay, another point here, the electric field at a point from is given is the value of electric field from all the charges present. Mean to say that electric field, for example, this is a surface, this is any closed surface of any shape, and this is Q in, and this something charge Q1, you can say, is minus Q2 plus Q3. If you want to find a particular electric field at any point P, or you can say that if you want to apply Gauss law at point P, then at point P you will define a Gaussian surface. We will discuss later, but at this particular point, the electric field is from all the points, all the charges present at that particular space, but that electric flux is always is equal to q in by epsilon naught. Q in is the charge enclosed in the surface. Charge enclosed the surface. The understanding of Gauss law, the conceptual clarity of Gauss law should be there. The formula is not enough. How to apply Gauss law is very, very important. Okay. For example, if we want to apply a Gauss law on a sphere, for example, we have a sphere of radius r. We have a sphere of radius r. This is basically the sphere of radius r, and charge q is placed on its center. Then you have to find the electric flux at point P. Then let's choose a small surface area ds, and due to this electric charge q at its center, the electric field is away from the charge in this direction. Then the small electric flux from this surface will be electric field, value of electric field into ds, and value of electric field will be 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into q by r square, as we know from Coulomb's law, and ds is the area. This is the small electric flux passing through a area ds. And if you want to find the electric flux through all the surface, then you have to integrate. Because ds is a very small area, but you have to find the electric flux from all the surface area from this sphere. Then phi e is equal to integration of E dot ds, and E is constant, value is q by 4 pi epsilon naught r square, and you have to integrate just ds, and total surface area will be pi r square, q by 4 pi epsilon naught r square, and total surface area is 4 pi r square. As you all know, the surface area of a sphere is this. Then you will get the value q by epsilon naught. This is the total electric flux. This is the way to write electric flux is E dot ds. Are you getting my point? This is basically the Gauss law, and this is true for all the surfaces. They may be symmetric, they may not be symmetric, but true for all the surfaces. How to apply this Gauss law in a particular surface is very, very important. Formula is not important. How to apply Gauss law? If you have to find the surface in which basically a closed surface, and that particular closed surface is known as Gaussian surface, a Gaussian surface. So next is Gauss law, the basic you can say the basic theory of Gauss law. Gauss law is true for any closed surface no matter what its shape. It may be symmetric, but the surface should be closed. The term Q on the right side of Gauss law includes the sum of all the charges enclosed by the surface. All the charges enclosed in the surface, not outside the surface. For example, this is a surface. This is basically a closed surface, and it has charge Q1, Q2. Then Q in, if you want to write here Q in will be Q1 plus Q2. Charge at right hand side will be the charge enclosed by the surface. In some situations, a surface might have charges both inside and outside. The term Q still represent only the charges inside the surface, as explained earlier here. The charges we will consider only inside the surface, not outside the surface. Are you getting my point? And next is the Gaussian surface we choose must not pass through any discrete charge. If you want to choose any Gaussian surface, it should not pass through the charge. For example, this is Q charge placed at a point, you can say P. Then Gaussian surface should not pass through this point. This is wrong. You should not assume a surface which passing through the discrete charge, because at that particular charge, according to Coulomb's law, the electric field is very large, because here R is approaching to 0. That's why but you can choose a Gaussian surface which can pass through a you can say distribution of charge, where the charge is not concentrated on a point, it is distributed on a particular surface. So these particular 4 points are very important, which shows how to apply Gauss law on a particular situation. This is basically the basic idea behind the Gauss law. Next is the example 1.10, and the example is the electric field components in Fig 1.24 are E x is equal to ax raised to power 1 by 2, ey is equal to and is equal to z is equal to 0, in which alpha is equal to 800 Newton per Coulomb. This calculate the flux through the cube and the charge within the cube. Assume that A is equal to 0.1 meter. Okay, this is the example. You have to find the net electric flux through the cube. And the electric field from surfaces Ez, and Ey is equal to 0. There is no electric field. Electric field is only along the x-axis. So mean to say that only phase 1 and along phase 2 electric field is passing. First thing. Second thing, if this particular electric field is passing through its direction is along x-axis, then area vector of other faces are the basically front face, back face, this and this, always is 90 degree. Okay, so due to this Ex, electric field along x axis or x direction, flux through phi along y and z is equal to 0. Why? Because theta is equal to 90 degree. Electric field and these faces make an angle of 90 degree and cos 90 0. Are you getting my point? Because electric flux is Ea cos theta. So only the electric flux is passing through phase 1 and phase 2. Other phases From other faces electric flux is 0. From other faces electric flux is 0. So for on phase 1 electric flux we can write phi E, and its value will be from phase 1 the value will be E into A cos theta. A is the area vector, and here cos theta is cos 0 means 1, and value of electric field is given by alpha x raised to power 1 by 2. Alpha, value of alpha is 800. X is, if this is A and this is also A, means 2A, okay. X raised to power 1 by 2, and area is, you can say 0.1 or you can say A square. Area is A square. This is the net electric flux from phase 1. From phase 2, net electric flux from phase 2. Here theta is 0 or 180. Here theta is 180. Electric field is along the x-axis in positive direction, and area is always perpendicular to the surface, and for a closed surface it is always outward direction. So the cube is a closed surface. That's why area is minus alpha x raised to power 1 by 2. Here alpha is again minus sign, cos 180 is minus 1, cos 180 is minus 1. So 800 into, you can say here x is A 1 by 2, and area is again A square. So the total phi net is, you have to add both the values. The phi net is phi 1 plus phi 2. Phi 1 is 800 into 2A raised to power 1 by 2 into A square, plus, and here the plus minus 800 into A raised to power 1 by 2 into A square. So you can take so many points common. So for example, 800 is common. You can take 800 is common. You can take A square is common, and next is 2A raised to power 1 by 2, 2A raised to power 1 by 2, 1 by 2 minus A raised to power 1 by 2. A raised to power, let's say A raised to power 1 by 2. This is, you can say, this is basically the net electric flux. From here you can also take, this is the whole, so 800 A square, A raised to power 1 by 2 also common, and inside you got 2 root minus 1, and just put the value of A is 0.1, whole square, 0.1 raised to power 1 by 2 under root 2 minus 1, 1.41 minus 1, and you will get your answer, and your answer will be, according to the book, answer will be 1.05. If you're talking about flux, the value of the flux is E Newton per Coulomb meter square. This is the phi net from this particular cube. this particular cube, and B part is you have to find the the charge within the cube, and the charge within the cube according to Gauss law, phi net is equal to Q in by epsilon naught, Q in. So Q in will be phi net 1.05 into epsilon naught 8.85 into 10 raised to power minus 12. So Q in will be 9.27 into 10 raised to power minus 12 coulomb. Calculation is okay, but you have to know how to solve, how to write the equations. Theta is always angle between area vector and E, not area and E. Area vector is always perpendicular to the surface. In this case, first case the area vector in this direction, and for second case the area vector is outward. So that's why in first case theta is 0 and second case theta is 180. Theta is 180. Are you getting my point? Okay. Next question is, the size of the question is big, but remember, it's not a tough question. It is basically all about your conceptual clarity and some calculations. So the example 1.11 is, an electric field is uniform. The first point is electric field is uniform, but in the previous question electric field was not uniform. Electric field is changing with x. That's why the electric field in x direction is given by somewhat like alpha into x raised to power 1 by 2. In the positive x direction for positive x, and uniform with the same magnitude but in the negative x direction for negative x. It is given that E is equal to 200 I Newton per coulomb in positive direction, and minus this and x is less than 0. A right circular cylinder of length 20 centimeter and radius 5 centimeter. Okay, so the question is like this. This is your cylinder. You can write. This is the cylinder. This is the basically cylinder, and the length of the cylinder is given as 20 centimeter, and radius of the cylinder, radius means this part, radius is given by, I think radius is 5 centimeter. Okay, this is 25 and radius is, and this is the center point. This is center point. From the center point you can say this is the origin, this is the O, this is O. From this direction electric field is positive and its value is 200 I, and in backward direction, in negative direction, its value is minus 200 I, okay, this is the basically question. And after that, a right circular cylinder of length this and this has its center at its origin and its axis along the x-axis, so that the one face is at positive 10. So from here to here this is plus 10 centimeter, and there to here this is minus 10 centimeter. And you know why? This is the positive x direction and backward is negative x direction. So what is the net outward flux through each flat face? You have to find the net outward flux. So you can say this is phase 1 and this is phase 2. Okay, so for phase 1 I can write the electric fluxes for phase 1. The value will be E into A. The E is 200 I, and area is pi r square, pi r. The value of r is, I think, r square, and it is in centimeter. In all the calculations you have to convert all the units in SI, mean to say that you have to convert 5 centimeter into in meters. So that is 0.05 pi r square. That is E, this is A, and theta, E and A is in same direction. In same direction, so again theta is 0. Again theta is 0 and cos 0 is 1, and that's all. So the value is in phi. Phi is a scalar quantity. Phi is a scalar quantity. So that's why you can remove I. So simple, 200 into this. So this value will come out to be 1.57 Newton per Coulomb meter square. Okay. For phase 2, again the electric field in outward direction and area vector is also in outward direction. So the value will be minus 200 into area vector again pi into 0.05 whole square, and here the I is negative. I is negative, so negative where I is negative. That's why here I is negative. I is negative and negative will become positive. Negative will become positive. So you can write 200 again pi into 0.05 whole square, and its value again come out 1.57 Newton per Coulomb meter square. Simple. You have to find the outward flux from all the surfaces, or you can say what is the net outward flux to each flat surface. These are the flat surfaces in a cylinder, and this surface is a curved surface. So outward flux, if you might get confused with this minus sign, so you have simply multiply this particular flux with this particular area. You will get the same result. This is the A part. In B part, the question is what is the flux through the sides of the cylinder? Okay, flux side of the cylinder is 0, and you know why? Because direction of electric field is either in positive direction or in negative direction, but the angle between this through side of the cylinder, the angle is 90 degree. Because theta is equal to 90 degree. I can write the angle between electric field and area vector. Which area vector? Area vector of the sides of this, area vector of side of cylinder. Are you getting my point? This is basically the B part. And C part is, and the C part is what is the net outward flux through the cylinder. If you want to know what is the net outward flux, so simply you have to add phi 1 and phi 2, phi net, then phi 1 plus phi 2, and the value is I think 1.57 plus 1.57, 1.57 plus 1.57, 3.14. The value is I think 3.14 Newton per Coulomb meter square. And last one is what is the net charge inside the cylinder? Net, according to Gauss law, net charge will be magnetic flux into net charge is equal to net in, Q in is epsilon naught into phi net, and phi net you know 8.85 into 10 raised to power minus 12 into phi net 3.14, and net charge will be according 2.78 into 10 raised to power minus 11 Coulomb. It's just simple calculations, but the focus should be on how to find the electric flux, how to find the directions. Here you cannot cancel flux, because flux is a scalar quantity. It is not a direction dependent thing. But here you can solve the net outward flux, the one flux from this and another flux from this, mean to say that there is something Q in inside, okay, and that Q1 is 2.78 into 10 raised to power minus 11 coulombs. Next is the application of the Gauss law. Field due to an infinitely long straight wire. And the basic idea is long straight wire. You can say that long straight wire means the infinite wire. Okay. So, but here you have to apply the Gauss law. For example, this is the wire. This is the wire, and it is, let's say its length is L. And you have to find, and the charge is positive charge. Now the charge is positive charge, and this particular charge is distributed. Along this wire. So here we will use the concept of charge densities. We have already studied the three kind of charge densities. The part one was linear charge density, second was areal, and third one is volume charge density. So here wire is a linear charge density. So let's define that charge is Q. Charge Q is distributed along this line, this wire of length L. So the charge density lambda is given by total charge per unit length. Next thing, to apply to find the value of electric field at a particular distance r, you have to choose a Gaussian surface. And for a straight long wire, the Gaussian surface will be in the form of a cylinder. So here we choose the Gaussian surface of radius r. This is the Gaussian surface. Up to r. You can see that that's electric field at point P. The Gaussian surface is like this, in the form of a cylinder. This is the Gaussian surface. Okay. So magnetic flux, tell me what is the magnetic flux? And here are the basically two flat surfaces and one curved surface. Okay, this is the cylinder form. This is the in the form of a cylinder. This is the surface 1, surface 2, and let's say this is surface 3. So what will be the electric flux from surface 1? Phi 1 is equal to 0. Why? Because here the electric field is in outward direction. From a positive charge, it is in outward direction, and that's why here the theta is equal to 90. Same from surface 2, 0, and here theta is equal to 90 again. From surface 3, you can apply Gauss law. So net electric flux from goes from surface 3. So the area of the curved surface is 2 pi RL. 2 pi RL. So flux from surface 3 is flux from E, the value of electric field, E into 2 pi RL. R is the radius of the cylinder and L will be its length. L will be its length. Then according to Gauss law, phi, or you can say EDS, integration, is equal to Q by epsilon naught. So here phi is E dot 2 pi RL Q by epsilon naught. Okay, and so next E into 2 pi RL, and you can replace Q with lambda into L, because lambda is charge density divided by epsilon naught. L and L will cut each other, and epsilon naught is lambda by 2 pi epsilon naught R. 2 pi epsilon naught R, and this is the basic formula of electric field at a distance. Electric field at a distance R from the long straight wire. Always remember, this is valid only for long straight wire. Long straight wire, or you can say that the length of the wire will be infinite. Length of the wire is infinite, or also you can say that L is very greater than R. L is very greater than R. Okay, are you able to understand my point? Next is field due to uniformly charged infinite plane sheet. Here again you have to apply the Gauss law. These are basically the applications of Gauss law. So plane sheet is like the plane of paper. It's like in this form. If this is the sheet of paper, and let's say positive charge is distributed in this sheet. So for this sheet, can you define the area? Yes, if you can define the area for this sheet, so you can use the which type of charge density? Areal charge density, and that for example the charge is Q. Q charge is distributed in this particular sheet, and the charge density will be sigma. This is the charge per unit area. You can say that this is, you have to define in case of sheet, areal charge density. Okay. Now in case of sheet, in this particular plane sheet, you have to find the area. Now this part, if this is a sheet, you can say if this is a sheet, the electric field will be in outward direction, but in both the faces, one toward this face and one toward this face, So let's say the area is this. This is the area. This is one area, and one electric field in backward direction in this direction, and here again the area will be A. Okay, and that particular point, the charge will be sigma into A. So according to Gauss law, net electric flux electric flux will be, let's E is the electric field in both the direction. So E is electric field, one is this side and another will be in this side. Okay, total area A from this side and A from this side, because in case of electric flux we use the total area, so the A plus A 2A, this is the electric flux. Total electric flux is equal to Q by epsilon naught, Q in by epsilon naught. In case of this sheet, the Q in is E into 2A, Q in sigma into A divided by epsilon naught. You can cut AV there, and E is sigma by 2 epsilon naught. This is the electric field due to a uniform charge infinite plane sheet. You have to remember why there is this 2. In case of electric flux, you will count the 2 areas, but in case of charge, you have to just count one area. This is the basic difference, because electric flux is coming out from 2 areas, but the charge is concentrated in one area. That's why sigma by 2 epsilon naught. And in this particular case, you can also show that this is the independent from distances from anything, independent from distance, independent from distance from sheet, sigma by 2 epsilon naught. Again here the concept is infinite plane sheet, infinite plane sheet. If it is not an infinite plane sheet, you cannot solve this question by using Gauss law. So understanding should be there. What is the main heading? Infinite plane sheet, infinite plane sheet. Okay, are you able to understand the idea? Okay, that's great. Next is field due to uniformly charged thin spherical shell. Thin spherical shell. Okay, this is the thin spherical shell. Thin spherical shell means let's say its radius is r. That's r. Thin spherical shell means yet the thickness is very small. Thin means thickness is very small. The outer and internal radius are same. Okay, so let's say the Q charge is distributed here. If this particular shell is empty from inside, then the whole charge will concentrate on its surface, or you can say that the whole charge is distributed on its surface. Then for a surface we will define sigma, or you can say the areal charge density. Here the areal charge density is sigma and its value will be Q by 4 pi r square. Are you getting my point? This is the areal charge density. So here we have two cases. You have to find the electric field at R, one case, and second case at, you can say, R. First case, R is less than R, and second case, R is greater than. These are the two cases. In first case, we can take the Gaussian surface, this Gaussian surface. So the net electric flux will be E into A, first case, is equal to Q by epsilon naught, Q in by epsilon naught, according to the Gauss law. And here inside the Gaussian surface, charge inside the surface is 0, and that's why electric field is 0. Simple point. If charge is 0, this is 0. In second case, now if you have to find this particular outside the R, you can choose this particular point here. The second case, this is the Gaussian surface. This is for first case, this is for second case. For second case, the Gaussian surface, the radius is E into A is equal to Q in. Q in means Q into in, Q in divided by epsilon naught. Here E is equal to area of 4 pi r square and Q in is equal to sigma into 4 pi, sorry, 4 pi r square divided by epsilon naught. 4 pi cut. You can also write sigma r square divided by r square. If you again put the value of sigma, from above, sigma will be Q by 4 pi r square by r square epsilon naught. R square will cut and is equal to, value will come out to be Q divided by, you can write somewhat in familiar way, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by r square, and this result is also given by Coulomb's law, electric field at a point. So outside this sphere, this particular, outside this closed shell, this particular closed shell will behave as a point charge. That's why the result is same as Coulomb's law. Are you getting my point? So here you can remember the result. Outside the shell, if outside the shell this shell will behave as a point charge, as if the whole charge is concentrated, where? Concentrated at center, Okay, are you getting my point? This is the way you can find the electric field with the help of Gauss law as well as with the help of Coulomb's law, but both will give the same result. Okay, and one more thing, you can use Coulomb's law in every situation as well as you can use Gauss law in every situation, but the basic condition is in the condition is in Gauss law we solve only symmetric problems. In case of unsymmetric problems, it will get very tough. Next is this particular example. An early model for an atom considered it to have a positively charged point nucleus of charge Ze surrounded by a uniform density of negative charge up to radius r. Then atom as a whole is neutral. For this model, what is the electric field at a distance from the nucleus? So they here basically 2 points again, but this particular example is given in your NCERTs make you understand, you want to make you understand how to use Gauss law in particular volume density, So here first situation, you have to find the electric field. R is less than R, and second point R is greater than R is less than R and R is greater than R. So first case, let assume this the Gaussian surface. Assume this the Gaussian surface. Assume this the Gaussian surface. If the positive charge is concentrated, at center, so it will be assumed as a point charge, but the negative charge is spread, is distributed in the whole volume. So our first main purpose is to find the volume charge density. So volume charge density will be rho, will be volume charge density. Volume charge density will be total charge negative ZE divided by volume 4 pi r cube of this sphere of radius r. This is the volume charge density. Are you getting my point? So for case 1, the total charge, if you want to apply the find the electric field of Gaussian surface of radius r, so phi will be E into A. You have electric field, you have to find electric field. A is equal to 4 pi r square small square. Okay, are you getting my point? This is the electric flux, E into A. Then Q in, Z is at the center, so net positive is, then minus rho into rho ZE 4 by 3 pi r cube. This is the charge density into volume of this small sphere, and the volume will be 4 by 3 pi r cube. 4 by 3 will cut. Then this is the ZE minus ZE r cube divided by r cube. Are you getting my point? And ZE is common. ZE 1 minus r cube by r cube. This is the net charge inside that particular r sphere of radius small r. This is the net charge. So you have to find this charge inside this sphere, and that charge comes out to be ZE into 1 minus r cube minus r cube. So you can now apply the Gauss law. So phi is E into 4 pi r square is equal to ZE Q in 1 by r cube divided by epsilon naught. So just cross multiply, you will get ZE by 4 pi epsilon naught 1 by r square minus r divided by r. The question is not tough, it's just all about your basic understanding. The particular author try to make you understand how to use these charge densities. So this was the case 1 was tough, and case 2 you have to find the electric field outside this sphere and outside this sphere at this particular point r. So outside this sphere, net Q in, positive charge is concentrated at ZE at center and ZE minus ZE in whole sphere. So net Q in is 0. R is greater than R. The net Q in is equal to 0, and that's why E into A is Q in by epsilon naught. You will get E is equal to 0. For outside point, radius r is outside point where the distance r is greater than the radius of the sphere. the net charge for this particular point here P, the net charge inside is 0, Ze of the nucleus and minus Ze of all the electrons. As said, the whole particular atom is neutral, Are you getting my point? This is basically how to solve all these questions. So this is all about this particular lecture and chapter. In next lecture we will solve the all exercise question, or I will try to give you the hints how to solve all the questions. Okay, so that's all from my side. Take care, keep practicing. Thank you so much. Bye bye.